I didn't want to go to jail for some of the things that I might have been doing, so I decided that the military was probably the better option. Little did I know where it was going to take me. It was dark. I'm under nods. I'm not shining a white light to get a real good picture of what's going on.
You're performing all this under nods.
All of it. I had to understand where my points of anatomy are.
Mentally, that has to be very difficult, knowing this is like the last time that you're going to go through that process.
Yeah, it broke me. I was a medic, and my job was to deploy and make sure that I brought guys home alive, but they're not really home. So I felt like my mission was not done.
Kenny, man, thank you so much for going out of your way for me. I appreciate it. My co-workers here are big fans of you,
Well,
so it's pretty cool. They say you are an amazing instructor and a badass medic. But so we have Kenny here. Kenny's pedigree is amazing. 22 years in Special Forces, 7 combat deployments, worldwide investigator, multiple tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and Lebanon. He was an 18 Delta and was a medic instructor for Green Berets Navy SEALs in the Leo community, as well as firefighters. And hobbies are very similar to mine. Well, the first one I like to talk about is shooting, and also helping people be the best version of themselves. So again, man, thanks, dude. Appreciate having you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
That could have gone on and on because I was like going through the internet of all this stuff that you did, and I'm like, I'm just going to leave it at like 7. If people want to know more, they can DM me. But
you left out I taught the Navy SEALs to swim.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Before that gets sideways,
dude, my favorite thing.
The Lebanese Navy SEAls.
Oh yeah. My favorite thing in the world is to get like the guys behind me and all in one place. I do a big event every year to raise capital for the foundation, and I'll have like Raiders and SEALs and Berets, and dude, the banter is the best, like the best.
It's gotta be.
They torture each other, dude. And I just sit there like, man, this is great, but they're all awesome. So I like to start this thing off with like a background, childhood, where you came from, kind of get that image there.
So I come from Richmond, Virginia, and growing up in the 80s, it was suburbia, but it was a good life, I thought. I didn't really have the worst childhood. My mom and my dad, they divorced before I was 1. So I kind of grew up with my mom. She remarried. Wasn't the greatest relationship I had with him, but overall, I powered through it. They ended up getting divorced when I was a teenager. So my mom was really the one that was instrumental in doing everything for me. And she was always really pushing me into sports, do individual sport, team sport, and also academically. So, we go back to our mom, and I was always worried to let her down. So I tried as best I could. But adolescence, you get into late teens, you start rebelling and doing things that...
You're telling my story. My mom the same way. She's my life.
Yeah. And so I probably let her down in a few ways that during my later high school years. But, I didn't want to go to jail for some of the things that I might have been doing. So I decided that the military was probably the better option, and also to make her proud.
Yeah.
And now trying to get back into my dad's good graces, who was never really around throughout my life. So I thought this was an avenue to do that. Yeah. And little did I know where it was going to take me.
Yeah, I mean, the story is amazing. When did you realize that like the military was your calling, and how did you choose the Army?
So actually, ironically, I enlisted in the Marines.
Oh,
so yeah,
Marines make the best Green Berets. That's what Colton says, because he did 5 years or 6 years in infantry.
So the thing about it was pre-war, right? So everything was peacetime, and the Marine Corps dress blues. They're the best, right?
Of course.
So, you're an 18-year-old kid. What are you looking for? Like, that sounds like the most coolest thing that you can do. And that uniform's going to look good. I'll pick up girls. Life's going to be great.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I realized peacetime Marine Corps is not something that I wanted to continue with. I didn't know what it was, but it wasn't that. So the Army, they're over there saying, hey, we'll just take you. Come on over. So I figured.
Did you go to Parris Island?
I did.
I have a home in Buford on the backside of the airbase on a peninsula called Perry Clear. That's where I have my big event each year. So I spend a lot of time there. My uncle's a 30-year Marine and then left, 20 years. And then he left and went to work at Buford Auto Electric. And now he owns it. He's an amazing dude, but yeah. So.
It's a small world. One of my drill instructors turns out 25 years later is a shooting instructor for an academy. My daughter was doing some sheriff's deputy work and he was her shooting instructor in Virginia.
So crazy.
Anyway, so I just decided to go into the Army, and this Green Beret program sounded pretty cool. So off I went, and really didn't know what I was getting into. But what I did understand is you can't quit. And so I didn't. I was in really good shape at the time, so that helped. And yeah, the pipeline took me to some places that I guess shaped who I am today, and I don't regret any of it.
So you're still pretty tied in heavily in the community. I always ask this question. What do you think, when you went through Q course, right? What do you think has changed since then?
For me or for the Q course?
For the Q course.
So not to drop any names, but during my tenure at SWIC, I was teaching at the medic course. We were going through an adjustment period where we're not able, it was difficult to drop a guy because there was a general in charge at the time that his philosophy was they made it through selection. You're going to train them. And I looked at both sides of that coin and I was like, I understand what you're trying to say, but the point that he was trying to make when he was briefing me and a few other cadre at the medic course is that, hey, if they've already made it through selection, you're a Green Beret. What is your job? You're a professional instructor. You can go to a foreign country, speak their language, and train them. True. But the level of training and my expectation is going to be considerably different.
Yes.
I don't expect this guy that I've taught in broken Arabic to be able to perform the same that I'm expecting a teammate to perform. There's certainly different levels of that, but they didn't want to see it that way. So I'm not going to say everyone's a go, but it definitely changed to.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, to be quite honest with you, it's like that's an analogy of like a guy that's really, really good at like hitting a heavy bag or hitting the mitts, and then when he has to go in and fight, he's covered up and petrified, right? Yeah. Just because if you say you're a boxer, it doesn't mean you're a good boxer. You know what I mean? Probably shouldn't go to the big leagues. And I mean, that's kind of concerning actually, if you think about it. I mean, you have to have complete trust in the men beside you, and I think that could make a lot go wrong.
So I think that the standards didn't really change, and this might sound counterintuitive, but the opportunity to have more chances were presented. For example, a guy failed a portion of the course. Okay, good. We're going to recycle you through that phase because that happens. You fail it again, and you're failing the PT test, and you're failing in peers. Okay, well, there's no, that's not enough anymore.
What's the hardest part of that course?
I think the medic piece was the hardest, only because.
And then you chose to be a medic. Just had another year and a half, 2 years onto this.
Arabic, medic, fifth group, and I chose all of that. So that was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Yeah, that I loved every minute of it. Really? Even though, the medic piece, you've lost all sense of anything outside of that schoolhouse. There's no friends. There's no anything. You're studying because it was a very high attrition rate. You're essentially a physician assistant / surgeon, veterinarian, dentist, all of it, paramedic, and wrapped up into one 12-month course. So if you're not in the books every night and really studying and regurgitating everything, you're not going to make it. So that was probably the most challenging. And of course, it being a year of the academic piece certainly added a considerable amount of time to the overall course. So that was the most challenging because these 2 and 3 month phases, you can already see a light at the end of the tunnel when you're starting or, briefly into it. Yeah. But with that one, that's a long road.
What, did you have like fantastic instructors?
A few.
Yeah.
A few. Yeah. And a few of them I didn't. But, and then a couple of them that were active duty instructors, when I came back as an active duty instructor, they had already retired, became civilians, and came back to work as contractors.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. But it was a good relationship that I maintained with them.
So once you're done with that, the world's starting to change a little bit, or no? Not yet.
Yeah. We're deep into Iraq and Afghanistan.
What year is that?
So I went in 2008.
Okay.
So I had already gone with the 101st Airborne. I deployed a couple of times to Iraq.
Okay.
Lived out there, did the initial invasion in there, came back, and then went through the course. So from there, it was just continued back-to-back deployments. How
would you explain? Because you go to see battle for the first time, and I'm a big advocate on educating civilians on the perspective of a soldier. I believe that that our communities are not brought enough awareness in that arena. I think it's important for civilians to understand, what soldiers, sailors, men, these, they're going through. And how would you explain that first deployment, it being fresh, like, oh my gosh, there's really, all the training's great, but now you're in the big leagues. To a civilian that wants to understand what's going through your mind, what you're dealing with, the massive change that you're going through, how would you explain that to the audience?
So this comes down to which type of unit that you're in. And what I mean by that is when you're in these special operations units, money is dumped into those training programs. So you get more realistic, more frequent training. You're at the range more often. You're doing a lot more actual Army work a lot more often. So it becomes more second nature. So when you are put in these types of situations, it's less overwhelming. It's kind of like a defund the police situation. The police go out, they make a few bad moves. So now they got a bad name. We're going to defund them. Why don't we fund them even more? Because when you are able to train these guys more and more and more, it's less of an issue when they go and face these critical situations and they're in a crisis mode. Because they've done this so many times, it becomes so much more second nature. They're able to handle things a lot calmer, cooler, collected, and they can focus on it a lot easier. When you're with some of these big Army units where the way to get into that is go through basic training and advanced individual training, and you got a mixed bag of folks there, 19 years old, 23 years old, people that don't really have much experience in life without a lot of this training because there's not a lot of money dumped into those units. That is a different scenario. That narrative reads like guys are scared. They are very nervous about things they don't know how to handle, especially early on in the war when you didn't have senior leaders that had wartime experience. So now this is new to everybody, not just your younger guys, but even your middle management guys. They haven't been to combat before. But as the war progressed in these special operations units, everybody's already been there and done that a couple of times. It makes things so much more efficient.
Mentality and mindset, obviously super important. Were there situations to where you're just like, this person doesn't belong here?
Yeah.
Like this is like really bad, even on like a team?
Yeah.
What happens in that situation?
If we have to wait for them to really do something messed up, and then the team sergeant can move them, they'll go to the B team, they'll go into a different type of support role. But yeah, we certainly want to weed out guys that we don't gel with, because that second and third order effect can really cause a life or death situation to go wrong. And we don't have time for that.
No. What was the most proud moment that you had on deployment? What was the thing that you were like the most proud of? Maybe a scenario, situation, a win?
So I used to get asked, a lot of civilian population would ask when they found out I'm a Green Beret and then I'd done a bunch of deployments. There's always this sick, cool guy question. How many people would you kill?
People ask you that question, really?
Yes. And
does it bother you when they ask you that question?
I can understand where they're coming from, because at this time, years ago, we were still so against folks in the Middle East, and, 9/11 was their fault. And let's not even get into conspiracies that maybe aren't, but nonetheless, so my proudest moment is when they ask that question. I'm not going to say it bothers me, but my response is I'd rather talk about the ones that I saved, because that number is much more important to me, because that is a feeling that I've done good. And everything that I trained for led me up to being able to help that guy go home and see his kids, see his family, and allow them a second chance at life. And that was my proudest moments.
Yeah, that's a great way to divert that. Can you give us a story of a scenario?
Yeah, I got a few. So one night, it was actually on my dad's birthday. We were on a QRF. We were supporting another team that was going to do a hit in a little village that it should have been a pretty easy one, right? And all the plans are good until you get hit in the mouth. So they got hit in the mouth, and we had a little campfire, and we were sitting around and right next to the helicopter, and so we got a call. So there was a call like, "Hey, we need ammunition, we need medical supplies." They wanted everything.
Oh, they were getting after it.
Yeah. So things took a turn for the worse. So
how many guys?
So there was 12 of them there, and they had already taken 3 casualties. Now, we were running a commando unit in Afghanistan for this specific one. A commando unit is essentially the Afghan Army's special operations, and they weren't bad. They were better than their regular army, but they were still had some challenges. For example, they sit down in the middle of a firefight. They just decide they're checking out. This is not for them. That's a different story. But so we get this call on the radio, aircraft spinning up, and as quickly as it can, less than 3 or 4 minutes, we're spinning up and we're taking off. So this is right around midnight, maybe 11:30 at night. And so we're flying in, it's dark, we're on nods, and everybody's trying to look cool, right? But we're all amped up.
Yeah.
Like things are about to go down. Aircraft lands, we get off, we pull the packages. I'm the medic. So I'm running at the front of the pack down this ridge line, and machine gun fire is happening. There's AK-47, our guys, that you can see a lot of stuff going on. And how many sounds exciting.
Was there a lot of enemies at this point? Or
there were.
Okay.
There's a whole village of them. These guys were everywhere. So this sounds exciting. It looks exciting. And the adrenaline, you're going through at this point is just, you're fueled.
Is this one of your first deployments, or no? Or is it
it's one of the earlier ones.
Okay.
And so, I'm like, I don't know, just go towards the gunfire, communicate with the team, and we're gonna fix this. We're gonna iron it out. We've done this 100 times, in practice. So now it's game time.
1,000 times in practice, probably.
Right. Yeah. So we get there, and I link up with some of the other dudes from the other team that we were supporting, and kind of get a lay of the land. And it didn't take but about a minute or so, and I had one of the Bravos on the other team, the weapons guy. He's got a guy slung over his back, and he's missing a giant chunk of his head, and he was still alive. And I was like, all right, here we go.
Shot or blown up? Or?
Yeah, it was a round, a 7.62 round went through and just took off a big piece of his head in the back. And
it missed his brain, just hit all skull.
Blew his skull out, and and most of his brain was still intact. It was dark. I'm under nods. I'm not shining a white light to get a real good picture of what's going on. We'll use green light or red light for tactical stuff, but typically for medics, we're going to use green or blue because we can see blood. We can't see it with red light. So I've got my nods on, and I'm like, all right, I'm starting to go to work on this guy. I found a poncho in my ruck like I always do to cover myself up so I could use a blue light. And I just start going to work, and I just start putting this guy together.
You're under a poncho.
Yeah.
So you don't get shot at.
Yeah.
Because of the light. Wow.
Yeah. Just sitting up on this little ridge top. And the village was down below, and there was gunfire going on. So I'm putting this guy back together. We're calling for a medevac. Medevac is going to be there in like 15 or 20 minutes. Perfect. So during the meantime, where I get this guy,
what's the protocol for that?
Just so
rapid.
I start with a march protocol, right?
Yeah.
I always go with massive hemorrhaging first, because that's going to be what is your biggest cause of death, right? Exsanguination. So because of that, if I don't have that, I'm going to check your airway, because now you need to be able to breathe, okay? And then any kind of shots to the box that can create a lot of negative pressure that's going to get into your chest and collapse your lungs, right? Circulation and hypothermia, head injury. So with that, I'm just going to build a little, what I call a donut, so that I'm not pressing your skull into your brain. And I'm going to loosely pack some Curlex into there, and I'm just going to wrap up a Barton's dressing on your head real good, and off you go.
Was he unconscious?
No, he was conscious.
Speaking to you.
He was freaking out. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, I speak Arabic, which you might think, okay, yeah, well, they speak a different language over there. Okay. Arabic is good in Iraq and a few other countries, but not in Afghanistan. They speak Pashto or Dari. It sounds kind of similar, but totally different. So I really can't speak to the guy. I'm just keeping him calm.
Oh, this was a commando.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was one of the guys.
Oh, no.
Oh gosh.
So our guys we did have our guys get injured, right? So one of the other medics took a through and through from a grenade into the leg. So then I had to medevac him. Now I'm the only medic out there. And so this gets fun when I get the second patient about, 10, 15 minutes later. Same guy brings me another patient. He's like, hey, Kenny, I got another guy. I'm like, all right, great. Put him over here. Well, this guy has got 5 gunshot wounds. So we get the tourniquets put on him. He's not bleeding anymore. Let's check airway. Airway's not doing too good. And he's unconscious. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to intubate this guy. So I pull out my little Mac blade. I start to intubate, and that's not working. So now I've got to go to a surgical crike. I'm hearing snaps. When you're hearing snaps, that means that round is close. Right? You're hearing gunshots, that's fine. But when you hear it, then it's close to your head. So I've got my Bravo on my team, and he's running the 249, and he's getting some and suppressing fire while I'm sitting over here trying to crike a guy under nods. And so that's when it also hit me. Like day one of selection, we learned the 3 rules of SF. Right? Rule number 1 is always look cool. So I was like, whatever, baseball hat, like Merrill shoes or something, got it, a t-shirt on a hit. And rule number 2 was don't get lost. Like, no problem. GPS, I got you.
Yeah.
Rule number 3 is if you get lost, look cool doing it.
Yeah.
So I went through a small portion of my career not really understanding what that meant until that night.
Oof.
Because I got a guy missing a piece of his head. I'm pretty sure I'm going to save him, but there's a chance that he's going to die. If I'm freaking out, what's he going to do?
Freak out.
So I was like, gotta look cool. So I'm freaking out in my head,
dude.
Right? In my head, I'm in another place, but I'm like, no, we're good. And I got another guy that I'm criking him. And I was like, yeah, we're good. Cause he's got his buddy over there, like watching and freaking out. Hey man, my friend's going to die. I'm under nods. I don't have a good visual. I'm not in an operating room.
Performing all this under nods.
All of it. So I don't have an operating room with all these lights. And so
what
I've
year
got
is that?
This was in 10.
10. So they weren't white phosphorus.
No.
Like 17s like I have. They were like single tube 7s.
So
oh my God.
Here I got a good, what we call a gorilla grip, and I got the whole trachea, and I'm running my fingers like, don't get lost. Rule number 2 is don't get lost. I had to understand where my points of anatomy are because I don't have good visual, so I have to feel my way around this. So I had to look cool, not get lost. And then if I did, I had to look cool doing it, right? Yeah. So I got a good crike, and that was what ended up being the thing that saved the day on that. So I had a few other patients, a little bit more minor, just gunshot wounds, able to fix those. That's the thing. You get a special operations medic. Through those doors, we make the best medics in the world. If I got a guy that comes to me and he's like, man, Kenny, I got this shoulder thing, maybe from the gym. I don't know. You got me. Like if we get a gunshot wound, if I chop your leg off,
Yeah.
I can handle that.
Yeah.
But back pain, like no,
Yeah,
go see
yeah.
a real doc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clinicals are a little difficult, but we are very proficient in trauma. Like that's our bread and butter. Because when we're out there and things like that happen, nobody's coming. It's us.
During COVID, I did one of our PAs here is a gentleman named Drew Coleman, teaches at Bragg, the med courses.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to my house and we did like a 2-day course. And I was like, dude, I'm sitting there thinking about like when you slow down and really think about doing it on someone who's like suffering in a really bad place, you know, that training without someone yelling and screaming and flipping out and everyone else in gunfire, all that going on. I mean, there's no way to really train for it until you're really in it, right? I mean, you know what you need to do. It's just with all the distraction and all the chaos, it's like, that's a different breed. I mean, when does it get to a point if you're working on 1, 2, or 3 people and the gunfight is coming to you, or at some point you have to stop working on these people and because shooter first, right? So it's how do you make that decision? Is it just situational?
Yeah, it's all situational, and we have an algorithm that we use, that March algorithm.
Yep.
So
that's what I learned.
If you can get that hemorrhage control stop, because that is what's going to kill you first. The number one cause of preventable death in the world, everywhere, is exsanguination, because you've only got a finite amount of blood in your body. If you lose a certain amount, around 40%, that's when it's too late. So you have to get that bleeding stopped. Once that bleeding is stopped, now you've got a chance. You have to maintain an airway. As long as they're breathing, you got a couple of gunshot wounds and they're in pain, they're screaming, they're talking to you, great, you've got an airway. I'm good. As long as you're not bleeding, this is going to suck. It's going to hurt, but we're moving out. You're not going to die right now. That comes to the point, well, what's going to kill him in the next 2 minutes?
Got it.
I'm going to fix that. And then if this is not going to kill him, he's got a gunshot wound into somewhere in the thoracic cavity. Okay, yes, there is a high level of danger that's involved in that with tension pneumothorax or tension hemothorax. Okay, I can fix that. It's not going to kill you in the next 2 minutes. It can kill you over the next hour. So I'm going to get you to a safer place where we can take care of this.
You say like, oh, he got shot. It's just a gun wound. I'm like, just a bullet wound. I'm like sitting here like, yeah, I've seen someone get shot before. It's pretty gnarly, you know?
Yeah.
Is it just like, it's just another day in the office for you?
And that's what,
how do you get your mindset there? Like, how do you get there?
And that's what comes back to the training. There's 2 ways of learning: endless repetition and blunt force trauma. When you do endless repetition, and at the time, the schoolhouse was working with live patients, caprines. So you're seeing hemorrhage. You've got a patient that is...
Explain that. How does that happen? What do they do? Someone in the area is hurt and they bring them into the school to work on them? Like, how does that... Like, they're just like, hold on, we're going to take you over here so these guys can learn on you? How does that work?
No, the schoolhouse has got its own veterinarian clinic in the back, and there's hundreds of animals.
Okay, got it.
And so everything is done as humanely as possible. They're all sedated, so they don't feel anything. But this is how these special operations soldiers get to train with live tissue, with live hemorrhaging, with breathing problems, with airway issues. With
got it.
They'll have potentially their intestines pulled out. There's a lot of different injuries that will take place, and you do this over and over and over.
You're there to save that dog, save that cat, save that pig, whatever it might be.
And yeah, so these goats, they're definitely very patriotic. It's probably the worst detail they've ever signed up for. So we treat them with the utmost respect. But it is a fantastic training tool.
But they don't do that anymore.
No, from my understanding, that's been
animal
done.
Activists.
Yeah, it's been like that for years and years, but I think they finally decided to go with more simulated mannequins that are going to do the same thing. But when you have your hands in warm blood and you're fixing that over and over and over and over again, just like anything. It's now when you go do the real thing, it's like, well, I've been kind of doing the real thing, and
Makes sense.
they're not paintballs being shot; they're actual live rounds, but the simulation has been as real as you can get, so that it's not as much of a shock to the system when you actually have to do this for real life. And that's where that funding comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's amazing about your story, your explanation is fantastic because you bring everything kind of full circle. And I haven't really even had that perspective of even like the scenario, the 3 rules, right? I was thinking, when you're walking around, you got to look cool if you get lost, but now you bring it in, you're like, oh, I can't see this guy's body really well. So now I have to go on feel. And like, that's impressive. What from your first deployment to your last, what were the biggest like changes that you had going on? Mental health, physical health, were you really beat up at that point? Were you just tired? Explain that transition of like what happens to a soldier of your caliber during that 22 years of impact in mental, physical trauma. Because we're going to get into some of the healing side of it, because this podcast is really driven in a direction of outcome and transition and success stories and things that we overcome in life. And that's really a big factor of this podcast. So I like for people to really understand, how it starts and where it ends,
So physically, when we're in a high risk type of position like that, we have to be very physically fit. So you're constantly doing a lot of different types of workouts, specifically with body armor on them, because that's what you're working in that. So that's how we're going to train. A lot of running, so that of course beats up your knees when you're wearing some weight. A lot of rucking, which also doesn't help with your knees and your back, hips. Guys have a lot of problems over years and years of doing this because it's not uncommon to carry 80, 90, 100 pounds on your back, especially when you're in your kit, which is going to weigh 60-ish pounds. Right. And then I've got an aid bag, which is another 30, 40 pounds. So and that's just how you move. So over that period of time, most guys have problems in that realm. Then you've got problems of getting hurt. I was in 2
injury.
I don't want to say crashes. But 2 very hard landings in Black Hawk helicopters. Been next to explosions that happened too close. Either we're breaching doors or we got hit by mortar fire. So some of these things happened really close by. And that'll give you TBI. And a lot of guys are facing that. So physical injuries are a real thing, but then the mental injuries, patterns of seeing dead bodies, children, and also feeling a sense of remorse that some guys have afterwards, years later. That's the mental piece that doesn't leave. And we were trained I can go find the door. I can do an intelligence package. I can find out where the bad guys are, which door to go through. I can go set up a breach. I can blow through that door. I can go inside and I can shoot everyone in there and eliminate all the targets. If one of my guys gets injured, it doesn't matter. I can fix it. I can go back and do surgery on him, anesthesia. I can do the whole thing. But they don't teach me how to handle my own mental well-being when that's all said and done. Next month, next year. Sometimes so I'll tell this. During a rotation back in 2013, I was one of my team members. We'd gone on some pretty good hits and we'd done some pretty good things and took down a lot of bad guys, which on the surface, that sounds really cool. And one of the guys, I guess it caught up to him quickly. It was maybe 2 weeks after this one big hit that we did. I heard something.
Just give the audience quick what a hit would be.
So
give an example.
So what we do is we're going to find the enemy, and there's different ways of finding the enemy. So the Green Beret, what's different between us and some of the other special operations is that we're going to go make friends We are going to identify people that will talk to us. They're probably ISIS members or Taliban members, but they will still come to us, give us information. We'll give them phone cards. We'll give them a little bit of cash. We'll, give them little things, and they give us intelligence, right? That's an asset that we have. So we run assets just like agencies do. So the asset will give us this information. We'll go build a package on the target, which means I'll do close target reconnaissance. I'll drive by in a vehicle that blends in with the populace, and I'll be wearing a turban and a big beard and trying to blend in. I don't think I do that good of a job. I was actually busted doing a close target reconnaissance.
Oh, really?
I'm in a Ford Explorer that's probably 15, 18 years old with 300,000 miles on it. So already the thing's probably going to die. It's not up armored, and I'm driving through this little village, and I'm looking as local as I can. And I got my teammate that's with me, and he's doing the same thing. So we're driving past this house, this area that we had gotten from our asset was like, hey, the bad guys are here. So we're going to try to get, a good look at it close so I can take some pictures and stuff. I know where all the doors are, windows are. Is it 1-story, 2-story? I know all the high-speed avenues of approach. I can figure this out, and we can build a plan based on that. And I have this kid, young teenager, that's walking down the street because I'm driving slowly. There's a dirt road. There's giant potholes, like anti-tank holes type of thing. And so I'm doing less than 10 miles an hour. And I got the windows down just a little bit because I can hear the atmosphere and what's going on. And this kid walks by. He's like, Special Forces. Busted, right? So it wasn't as clean as I looked. But so anyways, we'll build up these target packages. We'll go back and we'll figure out how we're going to handle this. And then we'll go and we'll conduct a raid. And that raid is going to look in a few different ways, but ultimately we're going to go and we're going to take our high value target. And what does that look like? It's either capture or a capture kill. And so that's what's going to be our hit. It might be on a whole village where there's multiple bad guy houses. It might just be one. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So we've gone on several of these up to this point in the rotation. When I'm hearing my teammate, it sounds like he's crying. So it's nighttime, maybe, 10, 11 o'clock at night. We don't have a hit that night. So I go around and I see him leaning up against the side of one of the buildings, and he's got his 9mm in his mouth. Oof. So now I got to tread very carefully on what's about to happen next. So it took probably around 5 minutes, and I got him to take the gun out of his mouth, and I was able to take possession of it. But I sat there and talked to him for over 2 hours about the demons that he was facing after just going through all of that. So the physical side of that, yes, but the mental side of that, it can catch up with you quickly. It could take a while to do that, and it took a while for it to catch up to me, but it did.
Man, that's, when I hear stories like that, I'm like, I visualize that, and it's just, that for you had to be a massive trauma-inducing, time. Thank God you were there, right?
Yeah.
Because he was just at the point of just break and just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. And in the medic course, we go through like a complete certification course on counseling. I think it's like a day.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wasn't a very high speed qualified counselor, but I was a friend.
Yeah. No, I can tell you're I just, got to sit with you, but I can tell that, that you're there for your boys,
And it was devastating to watch that a guy was willing to even contemplate that, whether he did it or not, but just to think about that was overwhelming. And
is he doing well now? Yeah,
he's doing great now.
Good.
He's doing really well.
So before we slide into kind of post-military, I had a question for you. What was it like? I've heard a lot of stories about, a Green Beret goes over into a foreign country, typically trains a militia, teaches them basically everything, builds their base. Like it's soup to nuts. Like you're not in and out one day typically, right?
Yeah.
And then you're working with the militia from a foreign country. In this scenario, we can talk about Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, whatever. What is it like seeing in dealing with that culture? I know there's a lot of really disgusting things that happen there. And what is it like having your like kind of being put in handcuffs, not really being able to do anything about that? Is that like, that's a pretty like, you know, because there's these guys you're training. One day you're on the range with them, teaching them how to do something, and then maybe they're beating up their wife. Maybe they're, you know, a pedophile, in my opinion. You know,
yeah.
I mean, and then you have to look the guy in the eyes the next day and teach him how to, you know, shoot a gun or do basic medic stuff or advanced medic stuff.
Right.
Is that like really, really difficult? I mean, or is it just part of the job?
It is both. It is extremely difficult knowing. And like I said, our assets I know are Taliban. So
yeah, like what is that?
That culture is he's working for me during the day and he's working for them at night.
Trying to kill you at night, yeah.
But then he gives me good information. So I never had to, thankfully, never came across any of I understand how they do culturally with whether molestation, they have chai boys. I didn't actually have any real time with that. I didn't get to experience that, so thankfully, but I do know that it happens. But one of the other concerns that we had was them turning on us.
Yeah.
Right. So even the guys that were training, them wanting to kill it, because it happens
all the time.
I
just heard a story the other day. A good buddy of mine, Mike Beluha. I don't know if you know Mike. He's a 20th group guy. Said he was on a range and dude just turned and started just crushing dudes.
Wow. My teammate.
What?
They killed my teammate.
Really? Just on a flat range?
Kevin McEnroe.
Man.
So he was in Jordan. We had just come back from a rotation, and he was like, "Yeah, Kenny, I'm going to get out. So I'm going to go on one more little run to try to save up some money. Mm-hmm. He's going to go start a family." And he went to Jordan, and he took some guys out to the range, coming back, and their gate guards, their local gate guards that they had that was working with them, that they trained, opened up fire on him and shot through the windshield of the little Hilux truck that he was driving, and it killed him instantly, and a couple of other guys as well. The guy came down out of the tower, and there was a medic that got out, got behind a Jersey barrier, and waited for the guy to come pie him off, and he shot him multiple times. He didn't kill him, but he shot him multiple times, neutralized the threat. But yeah, Kevin lost his life for that.
Man, and he was just getting out.
We went through the course together. Like, he would come visit up to Virginia with me and go visit my family and stuff. He was a good friend.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I mean, so how did you know it was time for you to move on?
I think it was my body was breaking down. You get into your 40s, you don't always perform as you did in your mid 20s.
Isn't it crazy?
And trying to be at the high performance level. And the war was also winding down.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, this might be a good time for an exodus. And boy, was that hard.
Yeah, let's talk about that transition. Because, I mean, transition to me is a big topic. You know, I've dealt with a lot of transitions in my life. Some of them have been fantastic. Some of them have been horrible at the time, but turned into something really good. Kind of like what we were talking about before. I heard an analogy the other day that no matter how well you play, if you're in the NFL or playing any pro sport, no matter how well you play that last game, it's still your last game. Doesn't matter if it's a sexy deployment or a boring deployment, or you're just kicking tires or you're getting after it. It's the last one, right? So there's no rating, but mentally that has to be very difficult, knowing this is like the last time that you're going to go through that process. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it broke me. I retired. I moved to Florida, and I was like, hey, this is This is where you go to retire, right?
Yeah.
There's sunshine, palm trees, and everything's good. So I could not get away from everything that I've been doing over the past couple of decades. So I started teaching trauma medicine, and I started teaching firearms courses, and that was fun. It was rewarding. Being able
civilians
to see,
or
yes,
okay.
civilians, and then with local fire rescues.
Okay.
So I did a big contract with these guys to help them with active school shooter programs and work on tactical emergency casualty care. And it felt good being able to, hey, these guys are going to be going out there because the local area is their battlefield, right? So they're going to be working in the medic field doing things on a daily basis. So if I can help sharpen their skills, I'm going to, by secondary tertiary effect, I'm going to save a life. That made me feel good until it didn't, because it still wasn't enough. I was still missing that camaraderie, that team room, that rush of being on deployment. And it led me down some pretty dark paths. Alcohol being one, man. You drink in the military, it's socially acceptable, it's all good, but one bourbon turns to 2 and 2 turns to 10. And then 10 turns to, I go Jekyll and Hyde. And that's not where I wanted to be. Then we had Ukraine and Russia pop off. So, hindsight's always there, but it wasn't at the time. They needed 18 Deltas. I guess they wanted to start like Blackwater. They wanted to start like a new one like that. So send a few guys out there with some GoPro and let's see what you can do. And we're going to have a militia, and we don't need boots on the ground. So there I was.
This is private contracting.
Yeah. And
frontline?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll touch on that. I ended up, so me and a couple of guys flew over to Poland. We Robin Sage, which is the final culmination exercise of the Green Beret, where you infiltrate into a foreign country, link up with indigenous forces to train them, and then you advise and assist on missions and help them kind of take their country back, right? Robin Sage prepared me to infill into Ukraine, link up with indigenous Ukrainian forces as a singleton, me and a local national interpreter.
Okay.
I rented a truck from whatever the rental car place was over there. I got a little Hilux pickup and just shook hands, pounded fists with my buddy, my teammate. He went with an interpreter, went another way. I went this way. Off we go to the front lines. Linked up with some some Ukrainian forces and started training them. And that was a whole different type of war, because that's got a lot of drone warfare, which we were not accustomed to 10 years ago in Afghanistan. So my purpose of doing it was that I'm still out here teaching medicine. What I failed to mention is also during that time of the transition, moving down to Florida and teaching the fire departments, I went out to San Antonio to teach the PJ Med course, the Air Force Pararescue. So I helped those guys run that medical course. So I guess my mind in its line of thinking was, I'm out here teaching this trauma medicine, but I'm not even relevant anymore. Maybe I was, but I felt like I wasn't. Because like everybody's like, oh man, I went to Afghanistan or I went to Iraq. Like, all right, cool, man. That was 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Oh, so relevant in community, not relevant in up to speed you on medical stuff.
Right.
Okay, got it.
So I was like, you know what?
That's what's going through your head.
Here's another war. I got to get onto that, or else I'm irrelevant. And I don't want to be out here teaching without the most current information out there on the battlefield. So how do I figure that out? Well, I got to go out there myself and do it. So this opportunity came, and I did that. And I'm on the front lines of Russia, and I'm in TICs, troops in contact. I'm in firefights, linked up with small teams of Ukrainian forces.
Are you completely kitted up?
Oh yeah,
you're like getting after it.
We're in the mix. I had a tank round hit. It was about 6 meters away, blew out that building. I rolled down into a bunker. I got pinned down for a couple of days. I got a lot of GoPro footage and camera footage and stuff. They blew up this little ambulance, a little van that I was using as an ambulance.
You're pinned down in a bunker for 2 days?
Yeah, it's concrete rolling down on my head.
Oh my gosh. He laughs about it.
I was
this is great.
I was like, what am I doing here? Like, nobody's coming. See, that was one of the differences when I was in, big army or even, special operations and stuff. Like somebody's coming.
Yeah, it's not like you to come and control.
I've got Apache. I've got a C-130 Spectre. I got an Apache. I got a fast mover. I got a Black Hawk coming for wounded. People are coming. I got a sister team that'll come out. I got QRF. There, I've got nobody. I've got me and what's on my back. And my terp that is just there to.
Well, I mean, that's probably how the enemies felt in Afghanistan, right? That's wild. I never even thought about that.
So yeah, I was on the flip side of that.
Was it just casualty after casualty there? Was it pretty?
We definitely had some run-ins where I got to explore using my medicine. I got caught up with a couple of news networks that had me go out and do some footage. My face wasn't blurred. Places I was living continued to get blown up while I wasn't there. Coincidence maybe, I don't know, but
I don't think there's such thing as those.
So
you seem like a likable guy to me. I wouldn't try to blow your house out, dude.
Right? Well, I had a teammate killed years ago, and he was out of Boston. So he had this Red Sox hat. So I used to wear Red Sox hats on missions, on hits. And for this one, because of course there's a red B on there, right? Well, I would go to Ukraine.
Town.
You go to Ukraine, I don't think red's going to be the color that you want to choose.
Oh, yeah.
So, but they also have a green B.
Oh, yeah, they do.
So that was
the Irish one, yeah.
That was my hit on, that's what I went
That's cool.
wearing on that. And I don't know if the drones are picking that up because they're going to fly. You can't see or hear them. They see you. And whoever's controlling that drone has got your coordinates. And they're telling the dudes over there with mortars or artillery rounds or whatever they're using to attack me. And so you have to now fight under the trees. You have to now be inside of buildings, but now you're inside of buildings and you're going to get blown up. So it's a tough situation, much more difficult in my opinion, for a multitude of reasons. One, because I'm on my own, and two, it's an entirely different scope on the battlefield.
So you have a terp with you, and he's pinned to you, obviously, right? And that's it.
That's it. And there's like 7 or 8 Ukrainian force dudes.
Were the majority of the people that were fighting for Ukraine civilians? Just
they were not well trained.
Not well trained
Army guys.
Were there any SF guys there that could hold a candle to any of it, or was it?
So there were actually other groups of former SF guys or raiders, some SEALs, dudes that were doing kind of the same thing I was, which was great because I ended up linking up with some of them, and we would just shoot comms back and forth to talk about where we're gonna use an OPSEC, kind of how we could also assist each other. Mm-hmm. But we were trying to at that point force multiply, and just kind of spread ourselves as thin as possible so that we could force multiply. That was kind of an early on strategy, and I mean I made it back. That wasn't. It wasn't
worth the money, right?
It wasn't.
Well, dude, you're
but then
savage.
I felt relevant again.
Yeah, but that comes to an end. We got to live with ourselves. Like, I went through nothing, that, and I don't compare traumas because I've been around enough to know that trauma's trauma.
Yeah.
Right. And, we talked before, which we'll get into, about like filling that void, right? I spent so much time in my life trying to just fill voids instead of just like finding the peace within myself and be able to sit in peace. 10 years ago, I couldn't sit here. It's fucking like out of my mind. Well, actually 15 years ago, I was out of my, gone. It's probably a good thing we didn't meet back then, but, it's just totally different demeanor. Like now one of my favorite things to do is to sit down and get to know someone and just have like a meaningful conversation. And that's like beneficial and understand people and stuff. Before I couldn't care about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think as we get older and start to see the view on life and how precious it is, I think it's really important to be able to slow down, and it's really hard to slow down. That's my hardest thing, between slowing down and lust, which was the biggest battle I've ever fought in my life. Right. Those two things, I'm in the fight heavy for, and it's it's not like you can go to Ukraine and that goes away. You know, you come
Right.
back. It's wild. So when you got back from there, that was it. Was that the final?
That was
Or
it.
did you go back again? A glutton for punishment.
Honestly, it wasn't. I was still missing something, and I had no idea what it was, but there was definitely a gap.
Okay.
And that gap was just peace for my soul, and I didn't realize that. And I used to always hear, "Hey man, you need to learn to relax," whether it's from my parents or anybody else, just learn to relax. I'm like, man, I'm relaxed. I could be sitting there on the couch, watching a movie. Not relaxed. My mind is in 1,000 different places, and I'm always wanting to do stuff. I got anxiety about something because I didn't do it good enough. So yeah, drinking, substance abuse, just whatever, trying to fill, just chasing something.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm chasing.
Yeah.
What's the next thing? And instead of actually enjoying peace in my life. So was there a point to where you're just like, I'm fucked up? yeah.
Because I was at that point. I was at that point in 2002. I was sitting on my sofa. I'm like, dude, I'm not a good person. I'm mentally in a really bad place, and I need to do something about it. Like, did you have that awakening, or was it just, or did you figure it out by yourself, or people just constantly pointing it out? Were you letting people down? Like, what was the thing that changed in who you are today that made you develop that change in thought to go do something about it?
So I lost my dad last year. And before that happened,
So you guys you guys eventually rekindled that relationship?
we did.
It's amazing.
And we became pretty close as I became an adult and I was deployed a lot. And he expressed a lot of pride in my military service. And then we had a falling out. And I attribute a lot of that to drinking. And so that relationship was broken. And I knew at that point he was close to the ending stages of his life. And I realized that I was the problem and my outside contributing factors were what caused all of that. And I needed to fix that. But I still didn't actually do anything to fix it. That took a considerable amount of time longer. I did repair the relationship, thank God.
Good.
Before he left me, but that wasn't the end of it. I would drink hard, and the next day was always regretful.
The hardest thing is when you figure it out, like, oh shit, something's not right, and then there's no action put into place, and then every day you're just sitting in prison over that, like thinking about it. What do I do? But you don't do anything. I can relate with it completely. I mean, the one thing I do want to just touch on is like, man, the fact that you clean that up with your dad is like a really amazing thing for me to hear. My father committed suicide when I was 24. The last words to him were, "You're dead to me." The next day, Rhode Island State Police called me and told me that he was dead in a homeless shelter. I had to do a lot of work around that. And that's why I get a lot of shit on social media. Oh, you start this foundation for veterans to pay for their TRT, they can't afford it for suicide, whatever. It's a money play, this, that, and the other. No one realizes how near and dear suicide is to my heart. You know what I mean? It's like a real thing. The ripple effect is fucking tremendous. I have a 6-year-old that said to me, after my father's been gone for 20 years, says to me, "Hey, Dad, how come I don't have a grandfather on your side?" And then you got to sit there and explain that stuff. So the suicide stuff, man, and even people moving on to the next life and not having a good exit, with their family and their friends is really hard. And I really, really commend you tremendously for that. That's a big deal.
Well, that was a turning point in my life for sure. Even though I didn't take any action, I did recognize that there was a situation. So it took months later and a few more alcohol-induced bad decision-ridden nights to decide that enough is enough and I need to fix this. And I didn't know how. And the VA is, of course, offered to help, and they're going to give you talk therapy, and they're going to
give you Xanax
they're going to
and
give you some
Valium
pills.
and yeah, exactly.
And now you're hooked on big pharma forever. And is that even going to work? Who knows, right? There's a lot of mixed bag opinions about what goes on behind those, those numbers. So I know guys that it doesn't work for at all, or it makes them even worse. Some people find that it just numbs them, and they're able to deal with day to day, but
who wants to live life like that?
They're still numb to life, and that's not good. So I started listening to some other guys that, I typically listen to, some of these big podcasters that are starting to come out and really talk about, you hear Aaron Rodgers, you hear Tony Robbins, Sean and Joe Rogan. All these guys are bringing out some really good information. And then within my community alone, I'm hearing other guys bringing in other nonprofits that are together to really start to try to get help that is outside of the VA. And I decided to go with the alternative route, which was going to Mexico.
Nice. So it's, this is a newer topic in my life. So I was in Colorado, as I was telling you before, with two. And, I'm on a spiritual journey. I did 2.5 hours of meditation with him every morning when I was there. It was wild. And I've never in my life, it was a huge impact. Like that meditation was huge. I still do it now in the morning pretty much every day, because it's just not for 2.5 hours, but I get after it a little bit. And then he started talking about some plant medicine stuff with us. And I was always the same mindset as you. I am not a fucking hipster. I'm not drinking the snake oil. I'm not doing that bullshit. But let's hear about your experience with that, because I'm a believer now.
So as an angry, short-tempered atheist that has got a ego because of everything that is...
Remember, he said atheist, guys. Go on.
Shaped my life. I knew I needed help. And so I just went with no guidance, no direction. I just decided to lone operate, go down there and just find me a shaman.
Wait, you just got, did you drive, did you go to Tijuana, or where'd you go?
I flew down into Tulum.
And you just picked Tulum because you thought there was a high population of shamans there? Like, what intel did you put together? Dude, you're the fucking best.
The internet, man.
I just got up this morning. I feel like I'm going to go to Tulum and try to find a shaman and eat a bunch of ayahuasca with a stranger.
I'd operated in one of my gigs that I was doing for a while. I operated in that area of Mexico quite a bit. So I knew the area. I did not have a shaman that I knew. But,
most people don't, dude.
But I went down a Google rabbit hole.
Dude, so funny.
And I called a guy. He's like, "Come on, man, I got you." I was like, "Okay." Man.
Was he tribal, or was he an American dude? Or what was
No, he was a tribal guy. So he'd actually been working out of Colombia quite a bit. So I went down to Tulum, and I was like, either I'm going to leave here healed, I'm going to leave here even more confused, or I'm going to leave here with no kidneys. I don't know. Something's about to happen. Hopefully not the latter. But I go do this stuff called combo, right? For cleansing.
Okay.
So not familiar with that.
Oh, is that the drink?
No.
Okay.
Maybe that would have been better.
Oof. I don't think so, dude. Talk about purging.
So it's this frog poison. And so he would burn the tip of a vine and then burn my shoulder. Put like 3, kind of like a cigarette burn, to create open wounds.
Okay.
So I had like 3 on each side. And then lifting the arm up, he would pour this powder in there and then spray it with water. Now, before I did all of this, it was a ritual process. I drank a lot of water, almost a gallon, in about 15 or 20 minutes. I couldn't finish the gallon, but I got close. And then there's all these prayers. There's chacruna plants being shaken, sage. I'm getting mapacho blown on me, and I'm getting this whole spiritual cleansing that is to lead me into this ceremony.
Okay.
And so drinking of the water, having all this, then getting these toxins poured into me. When they sprayed the water, it instantly went into my wound track, and within 2 minutes, I was violently ill.
Both
there was
ends.
nothing psychedelic about this. This was just physically, I felt like death. I was like, this is the worst sickness I've ever felt, I think, in my life. And I started just throwing up. That was the idea. This is to purge this.
Before in your life too.
Yeah, and this was bad. So I threw up, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 times. It was ridiculous, and just wanted to get it out. It only lasted 15 minutes. The peak was about 7 or 8 minutes, riding the wave up and then peaking hard and just getting rid of it, and then a slow drop down. I felt when it was done like I just got into a fight with like 6 dudes and just gotten the shit kicked out of me.
Worn out.
I was busted. So I went and I just kind of recouped in this little area that he had, this little cabin for me. And a couple of hours later, it was time for my next ceremony, which was 5-MeO DMT. And I've done some research on this. I don't care how much research that you do. I don't care how much you think you know or what you think you're going to expect. None of that is going to actually happen. Not in my case. You're never going to be prepared for that.
Never.
And so I smoked the toad and I blasted.
Were you nervous?
Oh, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. Now I've heard, hey, you might feel like you're dead. So, okay, I expect that there's no expectation of that.
Yeah.
When you feel it, it is terrifying. Whether regardless you've heard you're going to feel that way or not, it is absolutely terrifying.
I've never been one worried about passing away. I believe it when it's time. It's time. We don't get to pick most of the time, right? And but after that treatment with 5, I've never been so comfortable with death.
Yeah, me too. The first 30 seconds, if that long, was absolutely terrifying because it hits you so fast. You just catapulted into the ether of the world of anything. You've lost all sense of time. You've lost all sense of self. You've lost all sense of your surroundings and your setting and reality. So when you take away all 3 of those things, where are you? And that feels like an experience of death because now it took away the default mode network, which is your ego. And once I learned, and I said there's no sense of time, and maybe it's about 30 seconds. I know it wasn't long into that journey that when I accepted that I was dead and I just let go. And when I did, it was so beautiful.
Yep.
It was so powerful. The ride wasn't that long. They last about 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. And when I came out, I let all of it out. Just all the emotion that I've had probably
were you
since
sitting
the day
still
I was born. I was sitting still.
Okay, were you yelling?
I sat in a meditative position the entire time. I didn't even lay back.
What?
He was like, I've never seen this before.
Dude.
I sat there like that and just flew.
Do you have goggles on?
No.
I put goggles on. I was lying in a bed as big as this room with pillows everywhere. It was unbelievable. On the side of a cliff in a mansion overlooking the ocean. It was so sick. But
I was in the jungle on a blanket. No, it was a blanket on the jungle floor.
Oh, really?
And just off I went. And when I came back, I didn't sob. I cried. I went through the deepest emotions since I almost could feel my mom holding me. And that love as I was on my birthday, like my actual birthday. Where when your mother holds you and that love, like I felt that again. And I'd never felt like I could love myself after everything that I had done. And I felt forgiven. But I also, during my journey, I met the source. And I, like you said, it took away my fear of death because I was able to comprehend. I don't know how, but you feel it. It's inexplicable. It's ineffable.
This is going to sound really crazy, but like you're almost excited about it.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to.
It sounds really screwed up, but the other thing too is that I learned something there through that experience is when you're going through it, my advice to anybody, let me know what you think about this. You don't want to be asking why. There's no, people are always like, I want to know the why. dude, with this shit, you just need to go. Just go and just experience it. Whatever happens, it happens. Don't be searching for answers because that'll make you crazy. I mean, I legitimately got real life gutted, everything out of my body, heart, lungs, everything out of my body. And my wife said, well, wow, geez, you must have really had some bad shit in there. You know, what was going on? I was like, babe, like, there's no why, you know? And I think that's a big way to good. I wish someone told me that prior to going in, because I sat there trying to figure shit out for a long time. Finally, I'm like, dude, what am I doing? You know?
Did you journal?
Oh, dude, like I probably in 3 days wrote 20 pages. Still doing it. Like, if you don't take advantage of journaling, meditation after, trying to get yourself in some type of spiritual direction and some faith, you're going to repeat that process over and over again. Right. And my opinion is, you know, you do need to be polished every once in a while. Mm-hmm. I'm a believer in that because I've really dug deep on the medicine, but I truly believe that journaling is like one of the best things that I've started to do. It's like amazing. How about you?
It's the reintegration. That's kind of part of it, because you go to med school and you learn how to be a doctor, and then you leave there and you go to get a job and you are now working construction. You applied nothing that you just learned. To me, DMT, ayahuasca, all those things, that's a school, because you are going to learn.
Amazing teacher.
It is the best teacher. Psilocybin. And if you don't apply what you learned to make yourself that better human, and that's that part of that reintegration. And those things are, you know, peer-to-peer counselings, having discussions about this, journaling, talking about what you experienced, even talking with yourself about it. And because you're going to get information on where you went wrong, how you can fix it. Now it's up to you to go and actually implement that.
So after you did the 5, then how many times did you do the 5?
Oh, I just did that one time.
My buddy I went down with looked at me after. He went first. Looked at me after and looked at me before I went. He goes, bro, that was the best thing I've ever done in my life, but I never want to do it again. And I was
Sounds
like,
about right.
I was like, well, could you have waited until I was done, bro? Like, you know, I was like, I just went to like the middle of nowhere with you, and you're like giving me no positive reinforcement right now. But he's like, you're going to love it. I was like, all right, let's go. You know, and I mean, I never thought I'd be sitting, you know, on the side of a cliff with a crack pipe in my mouth, you know what I mean? But fucking so sick though, dude. And like, it was just, the results were insane. What were your results?
Incredible. It was the most profound thing by far that I've ever done in my life. Would I ever do it again? A lot. I'm not rushing to go do it again.
You'll know when you need it now.
Right.
You know,
and I don't feel like I need it at all, because the active component in that is dimethyltryptamine. So then my next journey, which was the following night, was on ayahuasca, which is the active ingredient is dimethyltryptamine. The difference is when you smoke it, it's an instant catapult into the next universe.
And some,
right? But when you drink it in a tea, and it uses the vine, that is the monoamine oxidase inhibitor, it doesn't allow your body to break it down. It's a little slower of an onset, so you're able to kind of get into that ride a little bit better and comprehend a little bit more about what's going on briefly, until all of a sudden it's, again, don't make sense of it, just go with it. Because I came in with intentions. Here's what I want. Mother Ayahuasca said, I don't care what you want. This is what is going to happen. Here's what I'm going to show you and teach you. And I didn't know that I needed that, but I did, because nothing is going to be brought to the table that you don't need. Everything is going to be there for a purpose and a reason. That my whole nervous system at this point was just in awe. And I had a complete dissolution of ego. And that was the greatest thing that ever happened, because all the things that used to give me like anxiety, I need to put emphasis and time and attention onto that. No, you don't. Or, oh, what this person is thinking. They're not even thinking about you.
And don't give yourself that much credit. That's what I tell my kids.
You're right. Exactly.
You're not that cool, dude.
Things that I think are important
are
not. And we all heard that. We know that. It took plant medicine for me to really feel that. And when God was able to present himself, the source, the creator, everything, I was able to understand interconnectivity. I was able to understand love. I was able to move forward with that, so that now I'm more present. I'm less distracted. I got a much longer fuse. I can still get pissed off.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
but I'm so much more chill with life, and it feels so much better. And it gave me a new sense of purpose. And much like some other guys that have done this, I felt other folks need this.
Oh God! I think on your 40th it should be mandatory.
It brought me to faith, and it was able to help me love.
I want to ask you something. We've both probably heard a bunch of times from people in our circles their opinion on death, right? And one thing that a family member used to say to me is, when you're dead, you're dead. That's it. It's over. And that resonated in my head for 40 plus years. Started hearing it when I was 7, remembering it since I was 7. And after I was done with Ibogaine, I was like, there's no way in the world that there's not a God, and there's no way in the world that when you're dead, you're dead. There's no way, because I died.
Yep.
And the scenario was like it was happening, like we're sitting here right now. And there's just no way in the world that could just come out of nowhere. It's impossible. Like, why would that happen? Wouldn't. Right? Why isn't it? Well, why didn't I just go blank? Right? And for those plants to produce the DMT, which is what you produce, correct, when you pass away and when you're born, I believe as well when you're born, correct? Yeah.
And we have it naturally in ourselves now.
Yeah, but it doesn't release that aggression of the dose, is what the shaman was telling me.
Potentially minute amounts, which
but
lucid dreams that you might have.
Does that.
Right. Oh, yeah. Those are massive doses. Those are macros.
Yeah. So like that's one of the things that people are struggling, take that into consideration as a really good teacher, because you're going to learn. And the medicine has no fucks given, none whatsoever. You're in it, and just love it, or don't love it, pretend you love it, look cool doing it.
Right. Rule number 1.
So,
do you want to hear what my death experience on that?
Fuck yeah, let's go.
So, and everybody's got their own journey, right? There's no cookie cutter. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels, but I'm sure everybody has their own journey and how they feel during and after. So specifically during my next ayahuasca journey is when I really felt it, that...
You've done it twice.
I've sat with medicine a few times.
Okay. But the DMT is the one only when you've done once.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, but I've sat with ayahuasca multiple times. What I felt was that when I do feel like on a completely different plane, and that plane feels like death. It helped me understand eternity. But then more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but I understood heaven and hell. And my take on that is, so again, I didn't believe in any of this Bible business, but now, I understand Jesus' teachings so much more, so much with clarity. Loving yourself and treating yourself right, you're going to reflect that on others. When I'm in ayahuasca, when I'm in ceremony, I'm going to face my demons. Everybody will. My demons aren't going to be some cloaked figure with a dagger and a chainsaw, but that's a conversation that I had 10 years ago with somebody, and I left that conversation. I might have been wrong. I handled it very inappropriately, and I made that person feel a certain way that I now put up a block. I don't even remember that, but that situation did happen, and it's still in my brain. That's the ego. The default mode network puts up these blocks, won't let me really recall that. that is a demon that I've got to face. A way that I treated somebody, and an ex relationship and things that I did during that, like things that I don't want to be faced with. It will bring that up and put it in front of you. Now, Jesus talked about, hey, forgiveness, repent.
Yep.
That is what being in that heavenly state is, because when you move on, as I felt like I had moved on and I'm in a spiritual realm and I'm dead, all those things that I did now are sitting with me consciously. I'm not in something fire, and I'm not burning and brimstone and flesh peeling off of me. No, but it's mental torment of what I did not fix while I still had the opportunity to do that here on this earth, right? Living in this thing. But if I did, I lived a moral life. I live a good quality, and I treat people really well, and I'm helping out my neighbor, and I'm doing all these things that we're supposed to do in accordance with Jesus's teachings or the Bible in general. When I move forward, I feel free because I know that I did the right things, and that puts me in a heavenly state. Here's why. Because on the other side, it all looked the same. There was no beautiful mansion in the hills or on a beach versus a fiery or cold iceberg that I'm living on.
Yeah.
It's all the same, but it's my mental torment that is going to haunt me and put me in a state of hell, because I'm always thinking about this and it's driving me crazy, and that is hell, and I don't want to be there.
That was good. That was strong. The other thing too that I really noticed, which was like made me really feel like shit, but also made me feel really good, is anytime in my past that I've done something that was irresponsible, disrespectful, and hurt somebody, I'd be like, hey man, I'm sorry, dude. Like, let's try to get through this. My apologies, my delivery, my explanation, or my communication wasn't sincere. Wasn't.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get it out, get it, there and gone. Going back to what you said, that's putting you in hell because you're still thinking about it, right?
Yep.
And I came back and had some really deep conversations with some people. Removed a lot of people from my life. It told me to get rid of a lot of people.
Yes.
A lot. Hey man, I wish you the best, but unfortunately I can't speak with you anymore. What are you talking about, dude? I'm like, sorry, dude. You got to listen to it. You have to.
Yeah.
And I've made major changes, and every single one has made my life way better. It's been way better.
I did the same. I certainly cut off some relationships that I knew that I wasn't aligned with anymore. Just some guys that from the past that they're going in a different direction, and it doesn't suit me and the person that I want to be. And it's not a bad thing. No,
it's not. So my boy Matt put together some questions here for you. We'll go through a few of them real quick. Dude, it was so crazy. He called me up after I tied you guys together. He's like, bro, that was my Swift instructor. He was like, dude, that guy's a fucking stud, dude. And Matt doesn't get excited, nor does he tell me, or has he ever told me that guy's a good medic. He doesn't hand that out too often. He doesn't, but Matt's done a lot of work since he's been out of the military, and he was really hard to work with. And now he is a fucking stud, dude. Went and did a journey with Cody in Idaho, and came back and just got to it. Went to a brain clinic, whole 9 yards. Dude, he's unbelievable. So,
well, if he told you that I was a good medic, then he might be one of the guys you got to get rid of for lying to you.
No, he's great. So talk to me about Waypoint.
So yeah, on my journeys, I came back realizing that a lot of other guys are going to need this, and it doesn't have to be just special operations guys that have done things. There's dudes that have done all kinds of different traumatic things. Like you said, trauma's trauma. There's no scale. Like, well, I'm a level 6 trauma and you're a level 8 trauma. Like, there's no such thing, right? So because of that, I was a medic, and my job was to deploy and make sure that I brought guys home alive. And I was relatively good at that. I understood battlefield medicine. I understood what was going to kill people first. I was able to fix that and bring guys home, but they're home, but they're not really home. So I felt like my mission was not done. So it gave me a whole new sense of purpose. Okay. And that sense of purpose was to start a foundation, Waypoint Six, that was able to reach out and get veterans. There's other organizations doing the same thing. Yeah. And I've got a beautiful sanctuary. I've got cabins. It's right by a volcano, an active volcano.
Where is it?
It's in Antigua, Guatemala. Okay. I also have one in the jungles of Tulum, where all of my where I was reborn at. So with these two, and we're working on some other facilities also that are U.S. based, partnering with some religious organizations. But so the plant medicine of ayahuasca is what I wanted to bring to not just special operations guys, but veterans, law enforcement, firefighters. Those folks see a lot of things throughout the course of their years as well. Also just other high functioning individuals that need that kind of help. So I decided that I wanted to use what I went through so that they didn't have to. And what do I mean by that? As we talked about, I just went down to Mexico and just, let's go through the yellow pages and shaman, for, I don't know how to find that guy, but yeah,
Google search.
So I don't want other people to just have to Google search and then they're kind of nervous about doing that.
You have everything
decided to spearhead that and doing multiple trips down there and building these relationships with my partner forces down there. I'm able to now facilitate. So what I'll do is I'll conduct interviews. We'll do integration type of stuff. We'll do counseling beforehand. We'll do some medical screening, and then I will meet you down there. I will take you to the sanctuary. I'll be there with you the whole time.
It's that personal, huh?
We'll go through ceremony, and I'll be
I
there
might just hang out with you for a couple of days.
Yeah. And we'll go through reintegration afterwards, and we do one-on-one. We do peer stuff, and just help you get recalibrated and reset. So after we went on a mission, we would do an AAR, an after action review, which is, hey, what went right, what went wrong, how can we fix it for next time? So I took that with Waypoint Six. I'm going to help you find your way again. So some guys get lost.
I was wondering where it came from. Okay.
So let's get you a new waypoint, right? And I got your back. I'm going to help you. So we got your 6. And then we want to do an after action reset because I want to do a complete brain reset on you, help you find purpose, help you love yourself again, and help you reintegrate out into the world. Also giving you tools to be a health and wellness coach and be able to bring that force multiply into your communities.
How do people apply through your foundation, or can you cash pay it as well?
Sure.
How does that work? Can you talk about that? Because that is going to be all of my DMs and probably yours if you have Instagram.
So Waypoint and then the number 6. So waypoint6.com. We've got a plethora of information on there. Certainly can reach out and you can get all the questionnaires, and we'll send you, I'll do a follow-up call and we'll find out what you're looking for and your intent. And I try to do at least one retreat a month.
Okay.
And so that's
how many people go at once?
I like to keep the cohorts kind of small, intimate. Now there are some groups that will have 20 people.
Really?
You can go down and I'm not saying anything negative about any other organization. There's a lot of reputable places anywhere from Peru to Costa Rica to Colombia, and you might find that you're with 15 to 20 people. That's a large setting. Small groups, I think, are more intimate. You can get more information.
1,000%,
feel more connected.
7 people, 6 people in my group.
And it was that's how I like to do things. I like to do somewhere between 5 and 8. And with that, I found we get the best results. And so I try to go once every month. And the bigger we grow, maybe the more often than we can go. But right now, all the information is on Waypoint, the number 6.com.
So you have donors that donate to the foundation?
Correct. So right now we do have some donors that are putting up enough to help us work with multiple veterans every month.
Cool.
So that the idea is to get funded so that these guys don't have to pay themselves to go down there.
Same thing with my foundation.
I don't want anybody to have to come out of pocket or feel like that's an additional stress. into going on a journey, because the whole goal is that reset, take away the stress. Let's not add a financial burden onto that. So with help from these outside donors and folks that really, appreciate what guys are going through, and, years later, and there's so much evidence out there, and there's movies and documentaries that really lay out what guys are going through, aside from living witnesses like myself, that we are able to get fully funded for these guys.
So if someone wants to sponsor a person to go down there, what is do you talk about the cost at all, or what do you look for to bring a group of 5 people down there? It's expensive, obviously. I mean, it's not cheap, for sure.
Between travel, between all the lodging, and we do food, we cater everything. You don't have to bring anything, just yourself, because all of it is fully funded, or all of it is fully catered. It's an all-inclusive type of resort.
Different type of all-inclusive.
Right.
Dude, that's actually a great idea. You should start one of those all-inclusive Ibogaine and 5 MEO or some ayahuasca.
We did.
That's awesome.
And our Maloka is very beautiful.
Yeah.
And everybody will have their own little glamping cabins, because the idea is that I want to get a little bit off grid, right?
100%.
Connect with nature, because so many other resources that are available specifically within the United States don't have the nature like that, or you're 10 minutes away, you're still wanting to be on the phone. My idea is that you need to work for this a little bit, right? So what I like to do is we're going to do consultation calls prior, and usually a month prior, and then we'll do weekly calls. I'm going to set you up with, first we're going to do medical screenings as well, get your intentions and understand a little bit more about you, because this is not a business. This is not something where we're going to put a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
This is personal.
This is giving back.
And we want
passionate.
we want to be personal with everyone. So what that is including is also working on a dieta. And the dieta is going to be different foods or medications, whether your addictions to social media, some guy, folks on cannabis, things like that. We need to work through those and eliminate, or even find out if you're disqualified by using SSRIs or other types of medications that we're using for different types of psychosis or depression or things like that. So that's part of the medical screening.
But you don't have to worry so much about heart issues with ayahuasca. You do with Ibogaine, for sure.
Correct.
But that's why a lot of elderly are using the Ibogaine now.
Yeah, ayahuasca is, although nothing is 100%, it's as close as you can get on the safety scale. So people don't physically die on ayahuasca. You will die on ayahuasca, and that's the beauty of it. But people, the Ibogaine is a little bit more of a challenge with the cardiac issues.
It was heart monitor for 4 days.
Yeah, that's what makes things a little bit tougher.
It was pretty serious.
Which is what also brings extra expense and cost for these Ibogaine journeys that are not as costly as with ayahuasca, because you don't have to have that same type of. But we do have medical support that's there. So
that's definitely a must after what I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the Ibogaine, your fine motor skills are shot, can't walk, and go to the bathroom. Like, you need a lot of assistance.
You can.
Yeah, I mean, you can walk. I was just hard for me.
It's trouble.
It's trouble.
Yeah.
I can tell you I'll tell you a funny story. So I'm like, the maraca. Can you see that maraca up there?
Yeah.
That was the one they gave me in front of the mirror. I was shaking, right? Shaking this thing, and all of a sudden, flames come on my back, and then I'm steaming, and then all of a sudden, the mascot pops up from behind a tree, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then they're everywhere, and they're talking to me, and I fall back. I'm like, okay, I'm in this. And my journal was right there, big leatherback journal, and I had so much going through my head. All I wanted to do was get that journal and write. That's all I just did not want to forget this. So I raised my hand, and down there you have a nurse and a concierge, and then there's 2 MDs. I raise my hand, they come right over to you. You got to go to the bathroom, or you're scared. The beautiful part about Ibogaine is that if you open your eyes, trip's gone. Put the mask on, open your eyes inside the mask, trip comes back. So when you take that off, and I'm sitting here like this with you, you're not envisioning anything. You're completely fine. Just can't move.
Oh,
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. And then you put that mask back on, open your eyes inside the mask, boom, you're back in it. So I'm going through all this stuff in the beginning, Kenny, and I can't write. So I raise my hand. Concierge comes over. Hey, Sidney, what's going on, man? And I'm like best friends with these guys at this point. Like I'm hanging out with them for like 4 days, having a blast. I go, dude, can you do me a favor? He's like, what? I'm like, can you grab my notebook over there and take some notes for me? And then I realized that the person I was talking to wasn't the person I thought it was and didn't speak English. That's how. And then the other person goes, you want him to take notes? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, dude, that dude doesn't speak English, bro. I was like, it was wild, dude. And then after that, so I didn't get any notes from that, but I don't think that's important. And then I got dragged through a tunnel and I was on the floor in Africa with a ceremony going on. I experienced a real Ibogaine ceremony in Africa. That was
very cool.
Yeah, I had a old woman with me that was like consoling me because I was really scared. And you can take off the mask and open your eyes, it goes away, but I didn't want to do it. And then I had to face some really horrific things that I've done. It taught me how to break the chain of historical abuse in my family. People are like, I just want to be 1% better than my dad was to me. Dude, fuck that shit. I want to be like 99% better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that shit will help you do it, man. I mean, the people that are super close to me in the last month have been like, dude, what's going on with you? Why are you so chill? I'm like, I don't know. If you want some of it, I'll get you down there, you know? So before we close up, what else you got going on in your life now? Like what else? I know your hands are in a lot of things. Personal security, right? Teaching still.
I still like to teach medicine.
Do you?
Because I feel like that's my way of giving back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So I run everything from CPR courses, stop the bleed courses, just minor things like that. And then I'm just diving in just as much as I can into Waypoint Six, and
it's awesome.
Working on a book so I can try to get some information out that way, and
hell yeah.
Just trying to do the best I can, man, to get out to the community and help guys.
What would you say to somebody out there that isn't a big believer in what you went through? The reason why I'm like really happy that you're here is because you have this dude was absolute savage. Like, you know, my perspective and my opinion is that if you don't have that massive aggression, a little bit of anger, and you're not turned all the way on, got a better chance of dying out in the combat fields from what I see and from what I hear, right?
100%.
The demeanor you got after ayahuasca, you probably wouldn't be the best idea for you to go back and fucking dive back in a combat. You'd be like, oh, dude, don't worry. I mean, you already say that. Oh, it's just a gun wound. You know what I mean? but it really chills you out, right? And it really does chill you out. You know?
It does. See, the thing is when you're constantly switched on when you're deployed, and that doesn't stop. When you come home and you're still training and you're living that life, it's not just you're going to play a game. It's a lifestyle, and you're constantly switched on, and you see a lot of bad things that happen, which then are ingrained into your brain to now, you know, always wanting to be overcautious, hyper vigilant, you know, back never towards people, that type of thing. So it doesn't ever stop, right? So how do we fix that? We have to rewire the brain, right? So brain mapping, quantitative electroencephalography, is another method of showing that.
Don't make me spell that word.
It's not. It's QEEG. It's Queeg. It's a lot easier.
Got it.
But so you can sit here and talk all the hippie voodoo and
oh
man, you know, we can shake some flowers and all that stuff, and but also backing that up with science, then it's really hard to negate what the effects are. And of course, there's been some recent legislation that's signed so that we can explore this a little bit more, because it's going to be hard. I think it wasn't a war on drugs. It was a war on consciousness.
Yep. 100%.
You know, we outlaw this when we're trying to draft guys to go into Vietnam, and guys are like, nah, man, just peace, love. We don't have time for this peace, love shit. We need to go to Vietnam. We need to go over there and do a bunch of killing. And people were like, no, that's not a good idea. Okay, well, what is giving you that clue? Oh, mushrooms, we're going to outlaw Schedule 1, all of that stuff, because we want to keep your consciousness in a lower level. So we're going to give you everything. We're going to give you alcohol. Okay, you tell me which one's more addictive. One of them is also going to give you, it's a depressant. It's got no medical benefits to it. What is alcohol? Did you ever get prescribed alcohol? No. Right? One of them is non-addictive and has massive health benefits, mental health benefits.
Massive.
And it just took 50-some years for this to get ironed out.
I just want to throw something at you before we wrap up. You're super educated. And guys, I urge you to reach out if you have questions. Kenny's awesome with that. I mean, he's been great. So I've been in this fight with Big Pharma, the VA, the Hill, for 10 years to get the VA to figure a way to pay for hormones for vets out there, because I've seen it. I've had this company for 18 years, treat over 140,000 people. I've seen it. I know what the medicine does for people the correct way. So I slowed down when Joe was up there in Congress with Trump signing that paperwork. And he said something that really hit me hard. He said 80,000 people died in 2024 from drug overdoses with opiates. Mm-hmm. And this is a major solution. And I said, that's right. And I said, I thought about this whole path. I said, okay, you got a guy that goes in the military. My perspective on a Green Beret and a lot of the guys in SF is that you could have been a pro athlete or you could have been a Fortune 500 CEO. You decided to go this route. That's what they're comprised of. That's the way I view them.
Right.
The people behind me. They're not alcoholics and drug addicts going through Q course. It just doesn't happen. But then you're on a deployment or two and the government gives you a taste. They give you that Adderall, give you that new visual, give you that Ambien. And what are you told to do every day? Told what to do. I'm told what to do. It's not like I can say, time out, dude. I'm going to go watch a football game. You're told what to do. You're away from your family. You're missing a lot of things that go on this side of the world with people that are important to you, right?
Yeah.
Stressful. So they fill you full of, they give you a taste, and then you get out and you go to the VA and you've been told what to do for the last 10, 20 years. And they say, hey, take all these drugs. And you walk out of the VA and then you get your 100% disability and you stop taking those. If we were to stop taking those drugs, you're at risk of losing your disability, right? So I was saying to myself, wow, that's wild, man. Like, you have these guys that are going in with this, they're in amazing shape. And then by the time they get through this whole cycle and go through the VA, they're in just this shitty fucking spot, dude. So I did a post, went viral. Nick Kumalatis and I both did 1.8 million views in like fucking 7 days. And it was, Joe, congratulations, man. You really stepped up with a lot of other people that were involved with that. But, the fact that you decided to send that text message is unbelievable. But how many veterans commit suicide a year?
So the number was 22. It's down to around 17, 18 now.
17, 18,000?
Well, no, a day.
A day. So, okay, so we're looking, that's an aggressive number.
Very.
And testosterone, I'm biased here, but I'm just going to throw it out there, is in the same drug class as Valium, Xanax, Adderall, class 3. You can't get testosterone on deployment legally. You can get the other drugs. Question mark, right?
Yeah.
And testosterone, I can shoot a 10 ml bottle of testosterone. I'm going to be all right. You take 30 Xanax, you're fucking dead.
Yep.
The system's broken. And I'm really happy that this is happening for the community that you're in and that you're pushing for, because I really believe that we really need to look at medicine and people really need to understand you can't listen to these fucking doctors anymore. We're really good at trauma. Amazing. But it's scary to think about anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, there's cures to cancer in Mexico. I know 3 dudes that just went down there with very bad blood cancer. They're in remission now for 2 years. They were killing them with all this radiation and all this other crap. So anyways, we'll end on that. But before we do end, we have a sponsor here that is a knife company, my buddy's company. Every guest gets one of these, the Grim Blades, and then that is my coin. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure, dude. My buddy Luke is awesome. he engraves them all for us, and I thought you'd enjoy it. It's the same one that I carry. So super cool, man. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Oh man, this is beautiful.
Yeah, it's badass. It's like an old shaver.
Hell yeah.
So he's a cool cat. Thanks, Luke. And I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everything you and Core Medical Group are doing.
Thanks.
It is transforming some lives.
That's why I'm still sticking around. It's not fun every day, but I'm still sticking around. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and please don't be shy, and have a great day. Thanks all.